Hello, Facebook Falam. Don't even know what that was. Falam, apparently. Just gonna share. How are we all doing on this beautiful Thursday evening? All right. See my friend here. Not doing well. Anyone got any tips for me? I suck at the whole plant thing. If you've got any tips on... All right, can someone let me know that you can hear me still? Tips on growing peace lilies would be super appreciated because she's looking a little bit sad. Make sure you say hello when you jump on, and if you are catching the replay, please hashtag replay in the comments so that I know who's getting to see this message. It's a juicy one tonight and something that has kind of popped up for me while I was out riding this morning. I was like, right, I need to talk about this. So for those of you who don't know, my name is Nikii Syme. I am a love coach and I work with women who are ready to call in their partner, their soulmate partner, but still need to kind of do a little bit of work on themselves. Release some blocks, really get to that space within themselves where they are feeling amazing to then be able to attract in the love of their lives. So, all right, let's get stuck in. Unrequited love. Give me a thumbs up in the comment section if you have experienced unrequited love. I believe that most of us will have experienced that at some point in our lives. And yeah, it can be really not much fun at all. So for those of you who don't know what unrequited love is, it's basically being in love with someone. Hello, I can see eyes, but I can't see people tonight. So please make sure that you say hello when you jump on so that I know who's there. It's being a bit funny. So basically unrequited love is having love or being in love with someone and it's not reciprocated. And for me, this looked like being in love with my best friend. So he and I were friends from the age of 15 and I didn't like him initially. But then as I kind of got to know him, like I had a partner at the time, and then as I kind of got to know him, I developed feelings for him. And it was years of keeping this secret, of keeping this hi Leah, how are you, gorgeous? Keeping this love to myself and being too afraid to actually speak it to him. Hey Vicky, how you going? It was something that I carried around with me for years, and it really affected relationships that I was in, that I kind of tried to get into, and it was just a pretty crazy experience, I guess. Have you, I was saying before, let me know if you've experienced unrequited love before. So basically I was had these feelings for this man and didn't believe that he felt them back for me, but I'd never actually asked him or spoken to him about it. So there was years and years going on of kind of dancing around it, and because I moved around a lot, so I would be home in Christchurch for a while, and we'd be catching up lots, and then I would disappear, and it was just like we were just best mates, and I'd go over and I'd stay there all the time, and nothing ever happened physically. Hi Tara, how are you, beautiful? Nothing ever happened physically, and we never actually... I think the first night I ever stayed there, we kissed. That's right, we kissed, and I didn't like the way that he kissed, and that's what put me off him. And then eventually, gradually, my feelings for him developed. And basically how this used to show up was that I would actually get into relationships with people, but I constantly had this thing, and you know how you kind of romanticize, oh, I'm going to marry my best friend. He was one of my backups. So he was like, oh, if I'm 35 and I haven't hooked up with anyone, then you and I will get married. And And I kind of had this whole romantic idea that, we were best friends and then we'd fall madly in love and we'd be together. And I was just kind of waiting constantly for that to happen. And we'd kind of come together and then we'd go, and then we'd come together and then we'd go. And it was really like, funny, I know. It was really like, really bizarre, because we would like catch up as mates and stuff. Nothing would ever happen. And I'd be in a relationship and then he'd kind of come back into the scene and I'd be like, oh shit, maybe there's something there. Oh my God, I've got feelings for him. Or something would happen where he would say something to me in a way that I was like reading way more into, because I so desperately wanted it to be this bigger thing. And then I'd start sabotaging relationships because I had my foot out the door, because I was constantly hoping that he and I would end up together. I think about it now and just look back on everything and just go, wow, like there's a couple of relationships there that could have been completely different had I not, had this kind of love for someone else. But then, at the end of the day, it's all perfect, isn't it? So essentially what it came down to was me having to face this and really remove him from my life, because I got to that point where it was really affecting my relationships that I was getting into. I was meeting some really lovely men amongst the shit, and I was still like, there was two that I can think of, like really, that I was in and could have been quite amazing relationships, but I had my foot out the door because I was secretly in love with someone else. It's like a soap opera. It's like, these are the days of my life. So yeah, essentially it came down to me having to confront this and face off with this and go, right, this isn't working for me anymore. If I actually want to have a chance of being with someone that the relationship's going to go somewhere, I have to really clear all this stuff, clear the stuff that's preventing me from moving forward and being all in a relationship. And I think I used it as well as a bit of a safety thing to keep myself protected. It was like, oh, this relationship's going really well. Oh, shit. Kind of bring him in a bit. Hi, Ainsley. How are you, my love? Bring him in a bit and kind of mix things up. And, I'm confused. I think I love him. And like just kind of used it as a bit of a scapegoat as well to keep myself safe, because I was really afraid of getting hurt. But there was definitely an underlying, oh my God, I'm really in love with this guy. And I didn't want to face that truth for so long, because I think too, believing or kind of staying in that space of possibility, it gave me hope. It gave me like, oh, well, maybe it will happen one day. Maybe it will happen. And that's why I never actually fully went into it and asked him and said to him, hey, this is how I'm feeling. Do you feel the same? Because if he had said no, then it would have been like, oh, okay, then I've got nothing to kind of hold on to. That hope was gone. But yeah, it got to that point, and that's when I kind of did that 7-month complete, hi Ange, how are you? Turn around, this massive journey into self, and I had to really clear everything. And that's one of the things that I had to do, was really face that. And I remember getting on a Zoom call with him and sitting face to face and finding the courage and strength within myself to admit to him and tell him how I was feeling and how I'd been feeling for so long, and that I needed to actually remove him from my life for a while. And sure enough, the feelings weren't reciprocated. I think they might have been earlier on. Like, I'm pretty sure he had a thing for me earlier on. But then by the time I'd kind of brought it up, so much had happened between us, and it was like, I think stuff had just moved. And he'd actually met the chick that he's with now too, actually. So I knew that he was really happy. And we'd actually had one situation where we'd slept together, and we're kind of testing the waters, and it didn't work out. And then he kind of met this other chick, and when I knew that he had actually finally found his girl, and I was like, right, okay, so now I really need to move on and let this go as well. So telling him, that was probably one of the the hardest things I've ever done, but one of the best. And I have to say, the sense of relief that I felt as soon as I spoke the words, he was really surprised and really gutted because I said, I can't have you in my life. We're friends again now. But I said, I can't have you in my life and I don't know how long that's going to be for. And he was really gutted about that because he obviously loved me as his friend and still wanted that friendship. But I had to put myself first and allow myself that space to let it go and heal and move on from it so that it didn't kind of keep affecting my relationships moving forward. And this is something that's really, really important, because if you're going into relationships with feelings for someone else, then that relationship doesn't stand a chance. There's no way that it's going to work if you have feelings for someone else that you haven't dealt with, that you haven't expressed to someone. Hey Tammy, how are you, gorgeous? So if you are in that situation and you have that person, like it might be an ex that you're holding on to. So I had my best friend, I had an ex-boyfriend who I was still messaging secretly, hoping that we were going to get back together. I had another guy in New Zealand who was kind of like my fallback. Anytime shit hit the fan, I would kind of go back to him and I'd call and he'd fly me over to New Zealand or fly me down for a weekend or whatever. And he'd be he was kind of my get over everyone dude. So when I went into that 7-month period of just going, right, this is about me and I need to get really connected with self and start looking after myself, putting myself first, clearing all the shit to make the space for my beautiful king who has now come into my life. I had to sit down. I had to have some really tough conversations with people that made me feel incredibly vulnerable and exposed and raw. And that message with Joel was just that phone call with Joel was probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, because I loved him and I loved our friendship so much, but I knew that it was not serving me to remain in that kind of energy and that kind of space anymore. And, I said it to him. He was devastated. I was like, okay, but, I've got to do this for me. And we got off the phone. And the feeling of relief straight after that was just like, oh, finally it's out. Like it was something I'd been keeping to myself for so long. And it just felt incredible. It felt so freeing. And the same with Jared, my ex-boyfriend. I had to message him and say, look, I've been still messaging you because I've still been hoping that we were going to get back together. And obviously we're not, so I need to let that go. And then also ending it with the New Zealand guy. And doing that, I was alone for the first time in my entire life, completely alone. I'd never been like that. I'd always had someone in the wings. I'd always had someone kind of floating around that was possibly going to be my backup or something. And for the first time in my life, I never had that. And it was an incredible feeling. And that's when I really got to know myself, and I really, really made the massive shifts and the massive changes and got to where I wanted to be in myself. And then God and my King. It's amazing. So my loves, if you are experiencing anything similar, if you've got an ex-boyfriend that you're still holding on to or hoping that you might be getting back together, might get back together, or if you've got a secret love for someone that is not going to go anywhere, or you haven't had the conversation or haven't had found the courage to have that conversation with them, I encourage you to find that strength and find that courage to have it, because essentially what happens is we hold on to these things and they block us from actually attracting in anyone else, because you're not creating a space for love to find you. So yes, I encourage you to have the conversations and allow yourself to move through that and face it. And it's nowhere near as bad. I think we create it and we make it so much worse in our heads than it actually is in real life. So just trust that, it'll be all good. You'll get through it, and it's all perfect. It's all perfect. But allow yourself that space. Allow yourself to let it go, move through it, and find the joy, find the love and the joy that you deserve. So yes, my loves, that's what I want to share with you this evening. I also wanted to share just at the end now quickly that my waitlist is now open for round 2 of the Rise in Love program. We are kicking off in the end of October. Waitlist is open and doors will be opening for signing on or applications in the next couple of weeks. So if you would like to be included on the waitlist to get VIP access, so you'll be the first to know when the doors open, as well as a beautiful discount offer, then just simply either message here on this live or shoot me a PM and I can add you to the waitlist and make sure that you get all the juicy details first. And we can rise in love together. Oh, because it's so beautiful. So beautiful. All right, my loves, I hope you're having a beautiful week so far and send you oodles of love. If you've got an unrequited love going on, allow yourself. Find the strength, find the courage, move through it.